Welcome back to another episode of the South by East podcast, where we talk about everything from scripture, music, culture, and in between. Brail, where are we at today? And let's make sure that this topic doesn't fall through the cracks.
Oh yeah. So, so Jonathan sends me this post. You know, when you got an SME in your life, you're like, hey man, I'm gonna run that through my guy because I may see some things, but I want to make sure they know. So he ran this story by me. So, to his surprise, I had not seen it yet, and he sends me this thing about Jack Harlow's new album rollout. If you don't know who Jack Harlow is a rapper of European descent in the game, and recently he's been working on a new album, and it is a neo-soul type of album.
Want some of your brown sugar?
Fam. Jack Harlow has kind of a history of jumping into different spaces and really trying to find himself as an artist, but people were dragging him. I mean, they were calling him Music Stole Child. They were calling him White Thought. I mean, we had a lot of it's incredible.
They put
Some
him
of the
on
days they put
all
him
the
on.
90s, early 2000 rap.
Oh
albums.
yeah, album covers.
Oh,
They called him Uncommon with the B cover and he's in videos wearing the old types of hats, looking like Music Soul Child. It's crazy.
Like Dave Hollister.
Oh yeah, man. They yeah, it was hilarious. I especially love the one where they photoshopped waves on his head, where it's Jack Harlow, he's got waves. So it's hilarious. But why all of this controversy? So as I looked into it, I watched a video. Jack, in this new album rollout and for his new direction, he sat down with two other podcasters who commentate on music, who are also of European descent. And they were speaking about his shift, and they were talking about how often white rappers will land in a more culturally safe space. Once they kind of get what they want out of rap, they'll go to country or to rock or move somewhere like that. And they were like, but Jack, tell us about this, because you did something different. You moved into an area that's a little more, a little less, and they're trying to finesse the way that they speak about this because they are trained well. And Jack jumps in to help them and says, yeah, I got blacker. And from that point on, Jack's album rollout had been demolished. That term went forward. We see all the memes. And so as I was looking into it, John knows, I always try to figure out, like, where did this come from and where are we at there, especially when it comes to here. And I was able to find a little more from this interview that gives a little more context. So we're going to share one of those clips with you now.
I'd been recording a project for 2 years after Jackman, and it wasn't exciting me. I didn't feel like I was working on something that would surprise people. And I took a few weeks off because I was getting to the point where I was dreading going to the studio. And I thought about, what do I actually want to do? What would intrigue me? You get to a point where, as much as you're trying to find your voice, you're also hoping to escape yourself. So I think as I'm getting older, I'm having more trouble reconciling being braggadocious on record. And it's a pillar of rap. It's part of the reason I love rap music, is the braggadocio of it. But I think I spent some time thinking about, how can I make something that's true to me and lean away from that? So we had a lot of rules.
What were the rules?
No braggadocio. What makes Stevie Wonder's music age so well is it's all infused with love. Ego can sometimes make music age poorly. Obviously, there's exceptions. There's plenty of rap songs where people are talking shit that are aging like fine wine. No cursing, not for any purity reasons.
Zero curse words.
Zero curse words.
Yep.
Just to challenge the writing. Just so there was no crutches. No digital instruments except drums. And then no rapping was probably the last, which...
John and I have been going back and forth about this.
Yeah, and I think even when we first had our conversation, because...
No out and out rapping, right?
I say there's no rap on this album.
Yeah.
I think you're singing.
And I think that there is melodic rapping on this album.
Right, and as long as it was melodic,
yeah.
everything had to have melody.
Sure.
I guess the best way to put it.
Sure.
But in shorthand, we were saying no rapping.
Man, bro. So, coming off of this video, there are something that really bothers me about the direction that this ended up going.
Yeah.
As Jack starts speaking about the different rules and pieces he put in place, the conversation that he's trying to have, I think is awesome. He gave props to one of my favorite artists of all time, one of the best writers of all time, Stevie Wonder. He's given props to this other genre of music. In one of his other interviews, he talks about how, man, I just love black music in all of its forms, and so I wanted to do this. He talks about, hey, man, the braggadocio in hip hop has become hard for me as I've gotten older and more mature. He's like, I don't know if this is who I want to be, and I loved that was a point, man, that really struck for me. He said, I don't know if the music I was making before was reflective of who I want to be.
Yeah.
And so now he's centering it around this conversation of how can I use the art that I make to help me grow as a person and share that conversation with the community. I'm like, bro, all that's fire. And then he sits down in another interview and says, I got blacker.
So here's the deal. I'm gonna draw on one of your previously at one time favorite artists. Saying that someone is the abomination of a whole generation is a pretty sad way to start a conversation. And I feel like that's kind of what Jack Harlow did with this, man. He buried the lead, like the deal, like I love the 70s soul music, different things.
Yeah.
That love came from listening with my parents and different things of that nature. They were the parents, my aunts and uncles and parents and everything were the people that every time this new song came out that you liked or whatever, they reminded you of what song
where
was
it
sampled.
came from, yeah.
Yeah, like that was them, right?
Right.
Just like we do with us, that's from such as they sample.
Exactly.
That was them.
Yep.
And so it lives on. And the thing that troubles me about a lot of, like, man, me growing up in the 90s and some of the 90s rap and different things of that nature is I can't share that with my kids. And so I hear what Jack Harlow was saying, and I get it, and I'm like, yes. And one of the things, though, is saying there's a way to pay homage without mimicking.
That's good. Without mimicking.
And so there's a way to point towards something without mimicking. And because when it crosses the line to mimicry, that's when it turns to something else. So some unknowing schools have wanted to honor like Dr. Martin Luther King. And it would maybe a class full of little white children. And I've heard stories of where those white children would come to school in blackface the day that they wanted to recite a Martin Luther King poem or something, trying to honor Dr. King and his memory because of stuff they taught. Look, I'm gonna tell you something. Let me break it down like here. My kids learned about Amelia Earhart and her ties to Kansas early on in their school career. As much as they talk about Amelia Earhart, you would think that she had ate dinner with us, that she was a part of the family. They ride for her like, Dad, are they ever gonna find her? Where is she at? Like there's this love for Amelia because they learned it in school, and so they didn't know. And so there's a part of learning that has to go along with, hey, you can honor something and not mimic it, not turn it into a caricature. Even though you're not trying, there's some things you do that step over that line. And I think what got Jack in this place was, and it buried some of this really good conversation that he was having on this topic of what is the substance of enduring sounds.
Right.
And so I hate that it got buried in this because like I said before I saw this clip, I had never really thought about it. I have a ton of music in my music library.
Right.
Music is one of those things that is still a part of my budget line. Like I still have a budget line for music.
Right.
And it's changed now. It used to be how many CDs I could buy a month, and now like
subscriptions
to different things, right? Where I can just download whatever I want. And I listen to this broad array of things, and I have this appreciation for a broad array of things, and so I just think what Jack did here, though, before I heard of him, all I knew was he performed at the halftime show of the Dallas Cowboys Thanksgiving game, and he did a whole bunch of weird stuff with igloos and people running around, and nobody got what he was doing. I was like, I just at that point I was like, I guess I'm just old.
Right.
And I just don't get it.
I just don't get
I'm
it.
just old. I just don't get it. I ain't gonna try to get it at this point.
And here's been some of the issue with Jack Harlow in general. And actually, this situation actually made me it made me more endeared toward Jack Harlow. And it made me, you ever had those people that you're like, man, I really want you to do well. I just don't know that you ever will. But I'm riding for you. I just don't know you'll ever make it. Like Jack Harlow is almost the definition of something I've said before. Great why, wrong story. Jack puts out his first album. He's kind of blowing up. He's small, young white dude, but he can kind of rap a little bit, and he's kind of nerdy, and he's kind of interesting, so he kind of gets this cult following. Then he has a little bit of a glow up, and then he puts out a big single. Everyone loves it, called What's Poppin'. Everyone loves it, and then they kind of turn him into this media darling where he's like the new Ed Sheeran, but he raps. And so he's kind of got this vibe to him. Then he drops his next album, and he gets this pretty cool hip-hop album, but it's all right? He's the guy from Illinois, and he's doing his thing. Next album, he goes super pop. He's Drake light, and that's hard to do because Drake is already light. Light in every sense of the word. He goes Drake light, and it's like, ugh, I don't know about this. So then he's like, well, you know what, man, but people don't realize that I really love this craft. So he drops this album called Jackman. It's like a rapper's album, and he's trying to pay homage to all the rappers, and he's on the front cover standing in the most rundown neighborhood you can find, shirt off with his bird chest. It looks awkward, and he's got a song on there called Gang Gang that's all about growing up around black people, and it sounds awkward. Everything in there just hits, and I'm like, man, I see the heart. I see what you're trying to do, but every attempt is a swing and a miss. It's a strong why. I can identify with that, but the way you tell your story makes it hard to connect.
You know what I order when I go to church is chicken?
What you order?
Chicken.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
I don't order no shrimp. Mm-hmm. Even when they try to sell fish, I don't order it. When I go to church is chicken, order chicken.
Chicken.
When I go to Chewy's Mexican restaurant, I don't order a burger. I think they have a burger on the menu. I don't order a burger. I order enchiladas or some Mexican food.
Right.
Some Tex-Mex. Get it in with some chips and salsa. I think here's why I don't go to Cheesecake Factory. Because the menu looks like the old Yellow Book.
Fam. Jeez.
Yellow Pages. And here's my deal.
You
When you try to
schizophrenia looking
be
at that
everything, then you're nothing, man.
Yeah.
And it's just a whole bunch of over-greased food.
Right.
And you're going to overcharge me for the cheesecake.
Right.
So I'm going to go to Fogo across the street. Because Fogo just going to do Fogo.
And you know what I do at every Mexican restaurant I go to? I get the fries. Because there's something special about a Mexican restaurant's fries. The type of potatoes they use are different. The oil is different. It's fire. But I love the way that a Mexican restaurant does fries. And in this album, Jack Harlow had an opportunity to go, I'm Jack Harlow, and these are the things I appreciate and I love. Here's how I do neo soul. Here's how I do this swing. And it may not be everybody's cup of tea, but I think we can all agree that this music is great and we want to honor it. And instead, he tried to go like, how would the Cheesecake Factory do?
Here's the deal. You got to be comfortable at the same time. There's things that you need to explain so everybody in your audience gets it.
Right.
And then there's some things that are for insiders, and it's okay. Yeah. And they'll get those nods of the cap to those different things, and they're like, oh man, that reminds me of such and such. Oh, that hits like that sweater he was wearing. And I'm telling you that back in '88, the summer of '88, Dave Hollister album. That one man girl.
How became a one woman man.
Hey, yo, boy, that's my look.
Do it again.
Look,
yeah, boy, that's the
that's one of the that's okay. One of the most trifling songs is it Donnell Jones where he's trying to figure out where I want to be.
It's so bad. That's such a toxic song.
Trash song. But it hit.
Yeah, I love it though. Sound good.
And I'm like, Jack, don't go that way.
Yeah,
don't go that way.
Don't do that.
And so I just think, man, in this you got to find out who you are.
Man.
And I think you're going to be your most creative when you can be who you are. And there's just some things like, y'all guys know, there's some things like, hey, that's not in my bucket. I do some things really well, and I'll defer to different people on the team because that's not my bucket.
Yep.
And it's like, I can be secure in who I'm not also.
Man, I'm in a music business accelerator course at this time, and I sat with a vocal coach, and he said something to me. I know he's quoting it from somewhere else, but he said, "We are best equipped to serve the person we once were." And he was like, it can be real, and he broke it down in a way that I understand. I love it when people are able to break down where things come from, because that's how my brain works. I'm always like, okay, this is what you're saying, but how do I compare it to what I've learned before and where I go? And he's like, man, becoming an artist, a true artist, like someone, when we love artists, we love them for something. Like you said, this is who I go to you for. This, and they always find a way to have a unique identity that's still relatable. And he's like, man, doing that is incredibly difficult. He's like, because you start out by imitating someone else. That's how you get started. Then you learn all of these skills, and you have this vision that's unique, but then you have to learn all the skills to actually be able to execute that vision. And so you have to bring in and learn all of these other things, and then you become master of them. And then he's at some point, you have to almost forget that, use your mastery of the skills, but relearn how it's interpreted through who you are, which is a difficult thing to do. But he's like, man, that's part of the process. And he's like, until you can find out who you are, you don't know who you're best equipped to serve. And you're pulling that away. And I want people to hear this. This is not just as an artist. This is not just as a songwriter. This is as a speaker, as a preacher, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a student, learning. Yes, there are skills you have to learn from other people. But then you have to go, man, who am I? Like, what is the perspective what is the inherent value, dignity, and work that has been placed in me that's unique to me? And how do I then take all of these things I've learned through my experiences, because there's a gift for someone in that.
Can I explain it using another illustration?
Please.
So when people often say, do you believe in evolution? I will say, what do you mean by that? Right? Because there's two types of evolution. There's vertical evolution, and then there's horizontal evolution. Vertical evolution says I can start with an amoeba on a beach, and I can get all of creation as it exists now. I don't really see proof for that. Horizontal evolution says I can start with one type of dog and get every type of dog. I think the goal has to be how to evolve without trying to, because here's the deal, when we study vertical evolution, there's gaps in the chain, right? We can't make the connection, there's gaps in the chain. But we have proof of a species evolving horizontally. And I think you can still be new and be genuine to who you are when you can evolve horizontally. Like your range changes because you can be, I'm in this space. I'm older now. I'm not gonna gun buzz like I was back here. I'm not gonna. I don't have to be that, but I can still be me. My voice. I ain't gonna try to change my voice. My voice is my voice, and as a piece of it, and I can speak to certain topics. I'm gonna speak of it differently now because I'm not the young 20-year-old, something that's in the middle of it. I'm the 40-year-old who endured it and now have the aches and pains from all the knucklehead stuff I did as a 20-year-old. And so I can still be fresh and new to this audience that loves me. And it's not the same album and the same song over and over again, but it is new and fresh because I am in a different phase on the timeline.
Right.
And I'm not trying to be something that I'm not, without the linkage of it of how to get there.
Right. Yeah, no, man, I think that is a great illustration.
And the thing that causes me to evolve horizontally is the environment.
It's the adaptation. I'm learning to adapt. And that is so important, man, is learning to adapt and grow skills.
I started listening to Jill Scott's latest out. You know, she's one of my people.
Okay, I haven't heard that yet. Yeah.
And I was like, I was afraid. I was afraid because...
Are we going to ruin the legacy?
Man,
where are we at? Where are we at?
Jill from Philly is one of my people, right?
Yeah,
so I'm always... And she's been away from the game for a while, so I was afraid. And when I started, I was like, this is Jill. The wordplay, the different things of that nature, on it, and then she had Trombone Shorty on one of the first.
Ooh, Trombone Shorty.
On one of the
Man,
first
that's
tracks.
a cold one. That's a
And it
cold
was like,
one.
this is like, she's never had some. She's done stuff with the Roots or whatever, but like
Right.
Trombone Shorty, and
That's
he,
dope. I'm gonna
that
have to hear that
band,
album.
that if you don't know Trombone Shorty, go look them up. Brass band out of New Orleans, I believe. Historic. They ate that thing up, man. And so,
These players.
and it added this over the top piece
Ooh, yeah.
to the music,
Yeah.
and it was like it showed. Oh, she's a different Jill than this Jill back here.
But she's still Jill.
She's still Jill.
She's still Jill, man.
And actually, like I saw a clip of her performing the new CD, and she started out. She like, man, she started singing the new T.I. song. Let them know. She's like, oh man, that song been in my head all day. I'm sorry, y'all. And because it resonates with us back here in the '90s, Jill. Right, like so. That's one of those things.
Yeah, man. And I think that's just kind of the last point that I'd hit at, man, is just regardless of how you tell the story, man, the substance has to be there, right? Yes. And the substance has to be there. And if there's something of substance there, build upon that. Don't try to change that. You know, unfortunately, I did not have the same experience as you had with Jill, with Jack. And that is part of what makes the most interesting thing about the album becomes the rollout, becomes the narrative around the rollout, when I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna push against the grain. I'm gonna go listen to this album, and I get 3 tracks in, and they're like, I no more, please, no more.
The move is always, you know,
Please.
you get the new album. Apple Music tells you the new album is there.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, I'm gonna go hit this. I used to always immediately just download it to the phone or whatever device, whatever. Now I gotta wait till after the first listen. I'm like, I can't get you using space on my device.
I'm gonna have
It'd
to
be trash. And
I'm
so
gonna have to introduce you to LaRussell next Friday. Next conversation, we'll have a good one there. But on this conversation, where are y'all at, man? What do you guys think about evolving? Who are the artists that you have seen evolve? Who are the businesses that you've seen evolve and still maintain their character? And where have you seen some gaps, some links in the chain? We'd love to have the conversation with you. Join us here on Facebook, where we build most of our community, as well as YouTube, where you can comment there, like, subscribe, and make sure to share this with somebody you think would enjoy it, get a laugh, or just have something fun to say to add to the conversation. We want to see you, and we'll see you next week
in the intersection.